Welcome to our final talk of the night. It's my pleasure to introduce Dwayne Fernandez. He's a leading advocate for disability, inclusion and diversity space. He has paved the way by creating accessibility gameplay, and he co-founded the company Minds at Play with Dan and Jeff that focuses on fostering social communication and interaction through playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons and Minecraft. Working with the New South Wales Government, Fernandez was the first chair of the Enable Network, the largest disability employment network in the New South Wales public sector. He has been driving actions in disability inclusion plans. He also holds the world record for the first double amputee in tower running and retro running. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Fernandez.
Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. What's the one thing that kills all tabletop groups? Not in Minds at Play. Minds at Play this term ran 1,340 hours of gaming with 290 players, with 26 games masters, without a single cancellation. I'm Dwayne Fernandez, co-founder of Minds at Play, with Dan and Jeff, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of that story about how we started and how we got to where we are. Now, there once was a solo player doing single player missions, right? I like to get out there, I like to travel, I like to set world records, climb stairs, as you've been told. And from time to time, all Dwaynes like to meet each other. That's just things that happen in Dwayne's lives. But yeah, there's always, you guys have all been Clio bachelors as well, right? So that's all something that's happened as well. No, it's been a fun, interesting life that I've lived trying to do things by myself. But after a while, I realized that I need to make sure that I'm taking care of my community. So I found a mission: inclusion. Display inclusion. I didn't see my community in places that I worked. I didn't see them in leadership. I didn't see them in the front line. I don't see them anywhere. And it became really resonated with me when my godchild, the guy who's sideways on the screen, when I became a godfather, and he's a kid on the spectrum. And I worried that when he grows up, sure, there are organizations that are trying to do better in the space for disability inclusion, but he may not get that right front door. He'd have to go through an interview process. And those things are shocking because it's high level of pressure for something that is not your day job. Can you handle that? I was going to get trained in that. At the same time, Dan and I played some D&D. We were state government employees. He's the guy who looks very grumpy in the top left-hand side of the picture because he was the first person to get killed off in that Christmas adventure. And in that space, we were playing D&D. We started in 2013 with 4th edition. Yeah, we all remember 4th edition, don't we? And that's why we all went to Pathfinder. And from there, we found 5th ed. We were playing D&D and we realized that it had really good benefits for us. The benefits being that I had a boss that I did not really like, and I played that person as a character, and I realized that I played that character for 2 years, and I got into hardly any arguments with the real person. Why? Because I understood them, I understood their moves, I understood who they were, how they interacted, and I realized that's an empathy machine. And I thought, wow, that's great. I can train myself to interact with people to have better outcomes. And I thought I was unique. No, there's heaps of research. There's a whole bunch of university articles out there about that type of stuff. And I'm trying to start a company with Dan to play D&D. Dan and I are different people. I'll get up on stage, Dan will record the camera work over here. We're very different people. I'll say yes, and he's kind of a no guy. We needed a third person. Enter Jeff, the guy we bribed with a big pile of meat to come along. He sat next to me in the workplace. He literally mentioned, I play D&D. He didn't say Dungeons & Dragons. He said D&D. I'm like, I got an idea for you. That was, I think, the first 5 minutes of our interaction. convinced him to come join us, and in July 2019, we had our first meeting in a tavern, like all good adventures begin. That is a faraway place known as the Fiddler in Rouse Hill. And we started the idea that we want to be a part of this company. Person that generally goes, let's do it. Person says, oh, think about that. And Jeff, the perfect middle that debates us. Says, are you sure? And we made a decision then that if we're going to move forward as a company, two people moves us forward. And then we'd figure out what we need to do and then all agree what the solution is. But when you start a company, there are many trials. You're going to set up ABNs, you're going to do flowcharts, you're going to try to apply for grant funding. It's a business. It's lots of complex work. And in that space, we failed at grant funding. We applied for it, completely failed. We call ourselves Dungeons and D&D, Disability and Diversity Services. Short and acronym, you get that? But Dan's idea was, let's call ourselves Minds at Play. That opens up a lot more possibilities. And we love that name. It's been stuck with us for a while. You can see one of our old school logos. That cost us $50 on an online market. We're quite happy to get that. But you can't be professionals that way. And we pitched. We went out and pitched to large corporates, small banks, and trying to figure out what our market should be to kind of put a foothold in there. Two people gave us a chance. Ignitability. Ignitability is a company that helps people with disabilities establish companies because they're diverse and they're entrepreneurs. Tatiana helped us rebrand ourselves. We got some better logos, we got some cool, nice high-resolution pictures, and we really started. We were able to pitch things really well. And at the same time, Luke Prittis Foundation in Penrith gave us a chance. It really did help, though, that there was a pandemic. We started in September 2019, and we had our first 4 clients in June 2020. So this first 4 clients, we ran a session 0. And a session 0 is a process that most of you know is where you go through and you create your characters. In that first recorded session 0, the support worker that was sitting there was in tears after the players left. She said to us that she had never seen these 4 boys interact the way that they had, and then want to be connected afterwards and play the game. We just thought they were being regular D&D players, right? Let's create a Discord without the games master so that we can figure out our strategy and the next thing. We just suggested that, and they took it on board. We proved the case that D&D is really useful for people with the spectrum in that first 2 hours. Now, on there you can see a list of things that role-playing games have benefits for. We hit that in 2 hours. Easy. That's just the way the games are made. The games are made in a way that allows people to interact and cause conflict as well as resolution. And a really good example that we'll do right now is the people in the first 3 rows. Eye contact, jump from it. You are 3 players. You're all playing right now. I'm your dungeon master, we're doing a scene. Okay, you arrive at a bridge. There is a disheveled guard standing there. You need to get to the other side. Your objective tells you you need to get this bridge, get past this bridge. What do you say? You jump, he looks at you, and pushes you back. What are you trying to do here? You want to cross this bridge here? Okay, well, if you want to cross this bridge here, you got to pay the toll.
I pull out a
How
small
much is
bottle
the
and ring
toll?
it.
Okay, so he then asks you the one final question. How much you got? Pause right there. Tell me what do you think about this character? Is he on the level? Is he dodgy? What's going on? Correct. And so in this space, he's a dodgy character. Now, in this, what that does is that some of the people on the spectrum realize that he's a dodgy character, and they pull out their swords and go to war. This guy's obviously dodgy. He's disheveled. He's trying to steal us. Some of them will go, oh yeah, I've got about 100 gold coins over here. And in that moment, there's a learning. The learning that people's behaviors are not always on the level. And so we embed these pieces of learning into our program and link it into the combat that's there. And what D&D does for you is that you agonize over every moment when you're not playing, right? Like, I should have done this thing. It's, all that lends to the game improving its engagement. And so next time round, you're coming with a little more focus, a little more intention to actually drive progress in your character. And so we've got some kids who have been super quiet, barely saying any words, 1 to 2 words themselves, to, because they want autonomy of their character, we'll start describing. Because we control everything on the board, and you can see there, the old school way that we played was cameras on a board with actual minis, and we control every part of that stuff. It resulted in great communication by everybody playing. That over time changed the way these people played. After a while, we saw them come up in costumes, really engage. It was the best. Next slide, please. Now, as we started doing this, we realized we couldn't be the only people playing this game. So we put out an ad and said, come play with us. But what we got was Games Masters. And so the word started to spread. Actually, there are Games Masters in this audience from Queensland and all over Sydney that work with us. Exiles was one of our first spaces. The one in the top left-hand side is our Christmas party in December last year. The next picture that's much larger was our party in mid of July with 14 plus Games Masters. We're now 26 Games Masters with 5 operational staff. And you can see the org structure over there. We don't like corporate names. My title is Ambassador of Amazement, because I have to go out there and spread the message. But we have Games Masters, and they report to a Guild Master, and the lead Guild Master is the Master at Arms. And if you want to get yourself booked in, you speak to Mom, the manager multitasking, who will get you paid, get you into a group, take the photos, like a typical mom, right? We have Keeper of the Archives who manage our records, and we try to be as fun as we can be. Because who cares about corporate structures? We just want to play some fun games, and titles are cooler. I would rather say on LinkedIn I'm a Guild Master. Don't see too many of those around. Next slide. So one of those Guild Masters actually pitched to us on a very poor formatted slide deck. Maybe we should use something like Tailspire, but the content was good. And so we considered using Tailspire. We reached out to Elrich Foundry and to Bouncy Rock, the people who made Tailspire, which is a digital tabletop digital tabletop game that you can see in our stall back there. And we started to establish this partnership where you as a player, when you create your mini, you tell us exactly what it is, what it looks like, what it's wearing, and everything else. We take that information, we make that mini with you in a session 0, we paint it, we import it into Tailspire, and you see what you have created on that screen. And what that does, you're engaged. That is your play that you made yourself. This was before Hero Forge established its process. We were working with Johnny Ree to actually import files directly. He was importing files on our behalf. And what we saw was the engagement that really popped up in their eyes, that this is my character. And so when I was adjusting behavior to the character, the player's behavior changed too. Because empathy grabbing the shit, right? Games. In that space, we started to get some media attention with people like Higher Up and the NDIS, because I'm a person with a disability. This is a disability business that I've created. And as always, the people at Exiles were there and have helped us grow with regards to recruitment and everything else. the people who created the mini painting process on the bottom left, Flying Mike Minis, and they created first actually the minis that they created for us, but then also the process to digitally print these things. We had people painting digital minis for 20 minutes just to get it into the system. This term we had 149 people play D&D. 20 times 149 to get those minis in there. We care about what our players experience. Excellent. This is what it looks like. We hire artists to draw your custom portrait if you ask for it. Your mini comes drawn up and looks exactly like it is. The bottom two images of the guy in the hammer, can you tell me which one's the digital one and which one's the physical one? That's a cool thing about this type of stuff. The similarities are right there, that when you see that digital mini on that screen, and when it arrives into your house, you're like, that's a character play. That actual mini is one of our Guildmaster's father who's playing with us. In the top two, right-hand side, you will see the painted minis for this term and how they look on Tailspire. So the level of engagement of what would be old school kind of camera on the space looks elevated to a level of severe engagement. So when you say there's a dragon that appears, click, drop, dragon. Consistency for all our games masters. You don't need to have 1,000 dragons. I can hire you if you've got the skills. And our hiring processes. Oof. Can you guess what it is? We're playing D&D. If you run D&D in the style that we like, you have a job. And if you're actually looking for one, then put an application in or meet us at the booth. And what we do is that we make sure that we're using the coolest and fun tools that really elevates the game for the players, but also makes it easy for the games masters to run their stuff. Those maps are put together by us, so that all you have to do is click, play, and run the story that we're creating for you. Simple consistency that allows the players to enjoy these things. Next slide. After a while, we picked up another game, Minecraft. Now, everybody who was playing D&D was saying, do you also have a Minecraft program? And so we created one. It starts off with like the image in the bottom right. It's basically a templated town with grids, and we give you a plot. And only you can build in that plot. But the rest of the township is a community build. All of you are excellent at Minecraft. I have no doubt about it. The kids who are 7, 8 years old are beyond our level of knowledge in Minecraft. But if I take you, and you, and put you in a group and say you're working together to build a community, that's where the learning is. The idea that you can work with a group of people in a different part of the world, different states, on a community project that results in growth. You know what that is? That's a job in the government. You get those skills right playing in Minecraft, that's something you can practice in the workplace. And so, if you can show that you can actually engage with people and communicate with people that you don't agree with, that you want to just lava bucket because that's just things that happen. We take away PvP, by the way. We make it a little bit easier. We take away PvP. We're considering taking away lava buckets because that's another problem there in space. And we try to get you to work together. And what does progress look like? In 10 weeks, it goes from this skeleton background to these beautiful effigies. There are castles of mud, towers to the sky, and axolotls, giant axolotls. Next slide. So, we play a small part in all these people's lives. My favorite review is the one in the middle on the right. He got on his mom's account and said 4 out of 5 stars. My favorite review of all time. But the kid in the middle, that's my godchild. He recently won an award by giving a public speaking event in his school, and he's off to the inter-school spaces. The kid in orange is a kid in South Australia that pitched to us that he wants to teach coding to our players. And what did we say? We said yes, because we could. And we wanted to see him grow. And if nothing else, he learns how to do what he has to do. we love being being a small part of these people's lives, and we thank you for listening to this story. That's it.